Good afternoon, folks. I'm Fairfield County Commissioner Steve Davis, and as you can probably tell from the shot here, we're on a Lancaster Fairfield County Transit bus. And with me today are County Administrator Ani Cordell and Economic Development and Workforce Development Director Rick Zabrak. Thought we'd take a couple minutes today just touch base with y'all on what we're working on as far as transit's concerned. As folks may or may not have heard, myself and others have spent the last couple of years doing a tremendous amount of research on transit. Probably the thing that gets people most interested was when I tell people I actually drove an Uber for a couple of years and interviewed over 400 people, trying to understand as best I could what their transit impediment was. I didn't know where that was going to end up, but kind of where we are now is we're involved in an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, I guess it is, with the City of Lancaster to transfer governance of what is now called Lancaster Fairfield Transit to the county. There's a couple things we're thinking on that. One, we're wondering aloud, I guess, if services might be a little broader around the county over time. And asking a city department to provide those services on a greater countywide basis might not seem fair, so we thought we should probably take this on rather than demand someone else do it for us, so to speak. The other thing we're thinking about and hearing from a fairly large number of employers is they're struggling with getting workers and then getting those workers to work. And so we've got some ideas about how we might be helpful on that. Anyway, we're going to take our shot and see what we can do. So I thought maybe Ani could touch base with us too. Ani is kind of our point person in managing the transition, which sounds real simple. Don't you just change the name? Well, all the employees are city employees. They all need to become county employees, and on and on and on the list goes of how complex this is, and Ani's running that for us, and thought maybe she'd give us a little update as to how that's going.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. It has been a great opportunity to work with our friends at the city during this transition. The folks here at Lancaster Fairfield Public Transit, they're outstanding employees, and they've done a great job. We're coming in as the newbies learning about transit, and they've been so helpful in helping us figure out what this transition looks like. So working directly with the mayor and the service safety director, Carrie Woody, who used to be at transit. So her wealth of knowledge is amazing. But we're kind of taking it step by step. We do need to look at the onboarding of the employees. We need to look at, making sure we transition them well. And so we've been having lots of conversations directly with the employees, but a lot with the city administration. And as from what I understand, Commissioner Davis, is they're on track probably mid to late March to look at passing legislation that will actually formalize that transfer of governance. So we're on track then, looking to be able to have this as a county office come July 1st.
Now, that sounds great. And on behalf of all the commissioners, we can't thank you enough for going on point there and doing a good job on that so far.
Oh.
No touchdown dance on the 20 here. So
well, and I couldn't forget, I shouldn't forget to also thank the rest of the county team, including Rick, that's been helpful in working through this process.
Well, and then the other thing I mentioned, and I want Rick to touch on a little bit, is, in my mind's eye, and I think a growing number of people's mind's eye, there's such a nexus between transportation and workforce, and I thought maybe you could touch on that.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. It's critical to get workers to jobs. We have the most employees and the most jobs ever living and working in Fairfield County, and that's going to continue to grow as Columbus expands. And fewer people are able to get their driver's license early. That's a critical thing. We're looking at doing more driver's ed to be able to get those students up and running. But some just either they choose not to drive, or they may have some situations, vehicles are getting more and more expensive, where people you typically wouldn't think want to ride transit to get to jobs want to. So we've got some big employment centers like Rockmill Industrial Park that we want to figure out how can we serve them better? How can we lead with the employers and make sure that we're getting their workers to them safely, quickly, and cost efficiently as possible?
Well, and again, I have a tremendous amount of confidence in you in the sense that the work you've done with the Workforce Center has been so stellar that as this transition occurs and transit is brought in under workforce, I have just as much confidence in how that's going to go. So I appreciate your willingness to take this on.
Thank you. We're excited about it.
You know, when I first started talking about transit and transit issues a couple years ago, nobody wanted to hear about it. And here 2 years later, they still don't. But I hope people will just take a moment and think about it. I mean, it's a little bit like homelessness. Nobody wants to talk about that, but you don't want to see them walking down the street either. And similarly, a lot of folks that have these transit impediments, almost like 451 every day, that get this service. What's their alternative? Just riding the bus with some of these folks a couple of weeks ago and listening to their stories and how much they appreciate having an opportunity to just get from point A to point B. I want to do as much of that as we can and do it as well as we can. The other thing I'd encourage people to just think about is, we've all heard these stories, and maybe some of us even said it, is, people don't want to work anymore and they just want to sit on their couch or play games or whatever, and that's fine. But some people do want to work, and if they do, we want to help them get there. So I really appreciate some folks being with me today and the work they're doing to help us on this transition. And I hope in the years to come, we'll all be proud of what we're trying to do here. Always a privilege to be your county commissioner, and I thank you for being with us today.